There's plenty to look forward to and be excited for with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and so I thought I'd make a video compiling some of the cool stuff in the game that we know of, whether that be big or small. And so I thought about the format maybe being a list of 5 or a list of 10 things, and then I thought to myself, you know what, let's do a few more than that. Since my brain only works so fast, I took to Twitter to ask for you guys to pop your input in, and you didn't disappoint. So you guys recommended that I talk about several other things that I didn't think of necessarily, and I'm glad that I asked, because this video would be terrible without it. So I watched the thread go for about 2 hours, at which point people were well and truly repeating each other, so I know that I was about at the number of stuff that I was going to get for this video. And so I bring to you guys not 10 but 30 cool things in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I'm certain that even this video will only be scratching the surface of the awesome stuff that we'll be able to do and encounter and see and hear when the game launches on the 17th of November. If by the end of the video I didn't mention anything you thought I should mention, then let me know down in the comments section, of course. No doubt there'll probably be a couple of things, not that I can think of anything, but the entire point of this video is to highlight all the things that we have to look forward to in this game. So now that I've chewed your ear off for a solid minute, let's get cracking. The first cool thing, of course, is the fact that you can recruit a cat to your raid crew, and it will then go ahead and join you as a part of your crew on your longship. It would appear as if the game has a codex. According to this shot from the gameplay overview trailer, the menu shows a codex page, which was certainly not in the demo build that I got to play. I presume the codex is a database. I prefer this idea of having a full database to hand as I experience the game in gameplay as opposed to a discovery tour out later. While I don't dislike discovery tour, I just know it will blend in with the gaming experience with a database easier, so we can consult it when we come across historical landmarks, figures, and experience historical events. It adds that historical detail that used to be so intriguing in the old Assassin's Creed games. On top of this, more people will learn with the database right there, whereas a lot of people won't bother with the Discovery Tour mode because why would they? While for those who are really into their history, a Discovery Tour is a very fascinating tool, I think it's fair to say that's not your average gamer, and having a database to hand just makes that historical aspect feel a little bit more personal with the game. Now, there's every chance that I'm misunderstanding what the Codex actually is in this game, but this tweet from Darby McDevitt makes me think that there's every chance that it could be what we think it is. But whatever that Codex tab happens to be, I'm certain that it will give us an insight into some aspects of the game. While travelling via waterways aboard your longship, your crew will speak and sing songs. This will help immerse you while using the ship. These stories will certainly serve to bind Eivor and the crew and give you the impression that they've been through some stuff together. And I think that's certainly going to add to the immersion factor quite a bit. On top of this isn't really related, but I thought I'd bind it into this point because I can't be arsed making a separate number for it. But when you go under bridges, apparently your crew will lower the ship's sail. And now that's attention to detail, which is what this entire point is about, really. Side quests aren't conventionally tracked like they have been in Origins and Odyssey. Instead, you have world events, mysteries and riches and the like, which will be marked on your compass with different coloured dots that don't give too much away. This gives you less of an idea what to expect at any encounter, and also doesn't clog up your quest log with excess amounts of quests that you have no intention of doing, with irritating punny titles and box ticking exercise objectives. And also means side content doesn't have to follow a certain path, which allows for a wider variety of world events. And I think this approach encourages you to explore the world more. On top of this, I noticed when exploring locations, box ticking exercises there are gone as well. I have hatred in my heart for checklist objectives. They are completely uninspired, like my content. And the fact that I didn't even come across one in my 3-hour sitting is very confidence inspiring. So in my opinion, this new approach to side content is a welcome one. In this game you pillage for a purpose, and that purpose is of course your settlement. With the resources you plunder, you can use it to upgrade your settlement, so you're in a sense building up your own little community. Now there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do at the settlement, but the thing that caught my eye that I want to talk about in this video is the fact that you can customize Eivor with tattoos. The reason why is because you obtain these tattoo sets by chasing them down in a parkour sort of chase element, similar to how we chase sea shanties in Black Flag. So obtaining these tattoos will be fun, and they'll make Eivor look nice, and that's always good. While the parkour certainly isn't as deep as it used to be in Assassin's Creed, Valhalla's world is clearly better built for it than Origins and Odysseys were. Apparently big cities like Winchester, York and London will feel more like traditional Assassin's Creed cities, according to Darby McDevitt on Twitter. This won't be the parkour of old, but it's good to see that Valhalla doesn't want to pretend the parkour doesn't exist. Because, like the example mentioned in the previous point in this list, we already know of some uses of the parkour system in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I'm quite happy with that. The leveling system is no longer going to interfere with your experience by forcing you off to grind. Instead, you'll have a power rating where you invest skill points into your abilities and equip better equipment. This means no enemy will be stupidly high level, then the main story won't be locked off to you by level walls that will make it impossible unless you endlessly grind first. I do believe this means that if you so wish to, you can just simply play the main story end to end without engaging in much side content at all. Doing this actually makes me want to engage in the side content more because I feel like it won't be a grind fest with one sole purpose, that purpose being wasting my time. There's no reason for the side content to be forced anymore, so I get the vibe that it's going to feel way more natural. And it's all because there's no grindy linear leveling system that means that you need to have infinite side quests. If I recall correctly, the skill tree is massive, there's a lot more to it than you can see, and as you go through the game you amass skill points pretty damn quickly. And I'm also very pleased that there's no irritating rendition of Ezio's family playing non-stop in the menus. But no, on the whole, this power rating system is a pretty neat idea, and I can't wait to see how it plays out in the whole game. One cool tiny detail that I noticed is that when you have the torch out, if you climb, Eivor climbs with one hand. It's like this game's very own backwards leap of faith. I'm of the mind that the quality of a game tends to lie in the attention to detail, and it's good to see that Valhalla certainly doesn't neglect that. There is no way I was not mentioning this, social stealth is back. You can toggle a hood and use certain crowds to blend and pass undetected, similar to how you blend with scholars in Assassin's Creed 1, which makes a lot more sense blending with people who look similar to you than just blending with any old crowd, and I like this detail a lot. You can also avoid detection by sitting on benches and interacting with the world, and it looks like good social stealth as well, so I can't wait to utilise this when the game finally drops in November. Assassin's Creed, it's good to see you being Assassin's Creed once more. If it so pleases you to do so, which it certainly will me at some point, you can dual-wield shields. Puzzles are making something of a return as well. Sure, you had minor navigational puzzles in Origins and Odyssey that consisted of little more than putting weights on platforms and smashing pots for the snakes and moving shelf-like structures to clear a path, but it didn't really feel like proper puzzles. In Valhalla there appears to be some other puzzle-like stuff, such as these things on landmarks like Stonehenge that you need to line up, or at least that's what I presume you have to do. Then there's this cairn stacking feature which seems super relaxing. You have to figure out how to get these rocks to stack without them falling over, and at the same time you get audio flashbacks to Eivor's childhood, and that's really cool. And I'd imagine those are only a couple of examples of the puzzles that we'll be able to do in this game, and I sure do love a good puzzle. I can't believe I'm mentioning this one, but after Odyssey it's kinda good too. Full damage is back. Full damage being gone in Odyssey was f***ing stupid. It's good that Valhalla is not f***ing stupid. I'm aware that in Odyssey before you obtained the perk you sustained damage from falls, but it'd never kill you. But if I want to throw myself off a building and die, let me. Unlike Origins and Odyssey where you point your stick in the direction you want to go to and you're instantly sprinting, in Valhalla you toggle sprinting on foot and horseback, and your horse has stamina so you can't just gallop stupidly fast forever. Sure, you aren't walking if you don't toggle sprinting by pressing down on the left stick, but you aren't moving particularly fast. And I think toggling sprinting is a nice touch that allows for more player agency. On top of this, the horse riding animation also looks better, and you can now swim on horseback as opposed to being chucked off your mount and being forced to swim without it, which annoyed me. Those are some neat improvements to the traversal that certainly haven't gone unnoticed for me. There are supernatural elements in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that I experienced in my 3 hours hands-on with the game, but it does appear as if the supernatural aspect to these encounters are indeed hallucinations. That allows us to experience some of that Anglo-Saxon and Viking folklore without warping Assassin's Creed into some mental, senseless fantasy, and as a result these more supernatural encounters feel more grounded and more respectful of the Assassin's Creed universe than Odyssey perhaps was in its delivery of these elements. The hidden blade can instant kill again. This wasn't really a problem with Odyssey considering it didn't even have a hidden blade and that was the problem, but in Origins though you can upgrade the hidden blade to be pretty damn powerful, there were some enemies that you simply could not assassinate. Attempting to do so would only chip away a little bit at their health. In Valhalla you can instant kill boss fights with the hidden blade because if you go to assassinate them you get a quick time event, and if you time it right it'll instantly kill your enemy. It's good to see a stealth approach to these boss encounters is being accounted for in Assassin's Creed. The Hidden Ones are back, and according to Darby McDevitt, there will be plenty of Hidden Ones and Order of Ancients lore in this game. In the marketing, we have seen a couple of examples of the Hidden Ones, and they appear to be donning Assassin's Creed 1-esque robes. So maybe we'll see a small connection to Assassin's Creed 1 there, but I am now expecting to see some well-established Assassin Brotherhood-esque things, and it will be the first time in 5 years that we've actually seen a full-on assassin in the historical part of a main Assassin's Creed game. Big takeaway from this point is Assassin's Creed Valhalla is embracing being Assassin's Creed. The combat is lovely and brutal with plenty of mutilation going on. Hashtag like a Viking, am I right? There are many different combinations of weapons that you can utilize, and many have unique finishes. On top of this, there are many different enemy archetypes that will require you to change up your strategy depending on who you're fighting, and will provide adequate challenge without forcing you to face down damage sponges. Though I'm yet to understand the full ins and outs of the combat in this game, which I likely won't be able to know until the game's launch, I do understand that it's an incredibly deep combat system, which will keep us all on our toes. Finishes in combat don't just happen when killing the final enemy. They can happen mid-combat as well and are smooth enough to not feel like they're leaving you exposed. These animations make for some fun, nice looking combat, which looks both cinematic and fun to play. Apparently there will be X-ray assassinations in the game, according to Valhalla game director Benoit Richer, who confirmed on Twitter that these X-ray assassinations will be player triggered. In my opinion, X-ray assassinations sound like a bit much, but that's pretty damn cool. Apparently it's only under a certain context as well, so I can't wait to find out what that is. The environments in this game look absolutely gorgeous. I don't know what else there is to say, but it will make exploration pretty neat. I haven't heard anything about a photo mode yet, but I presume there will be one since Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey both had one, so with these visuals, Valhalla better have one as well. We got samples from the Assassin's Creed Valhalla soundtrack, which is being produced by Jesper Kyd, Sarah Schagner and Einar Selvik, so I thought what's the harm in showing off a couple of samples here. The soundtrack for Assassin's Creed Valhalla sounds incredibly promising. In fact, there's a handful of tracks available to listen to on Spotify right now. The bird mechanic is back, though the raven in Valhalla is far less forced than the eagle in Origins and Odyssey. You don't need the bird to find absolutely everything anymore, and in my 3-hour sitting the game didn't prompt me to use it once. You can still use the raven to locate things if you need to, but with this gameplay feature far less in your face, the gameplay is sure to be better as a result. I don't believe you can mark your enemies with the raven anymore, which is good. I don't need that HUD on the screen, I don't need to know where the enemies are, you can figure that out pretty easily. I'm sure Sunim will still have uses, I'm just glad that it's not every 5 seconds. Along with the raven, we also have Odin's Sight, which is very much so like a mixture between the Animus Pulse that we saw in Origins and Odyssey and traditional Eagle Vision. It appears to be used to trigger puzzles, and I do believe it can also highlight other stuff, which means while it won't necessarily be the Eagle Vision that we miss, it will be useful. The memory corridor loading screen is back. So in the loading screen you can move about like you used to be able to, something that wasn't in Odyssey but was in Origins, and it looks nice. Above your head you've got the northern lights and below you you've got water. It's really nice to look at and I like this loading screen a lot. And that's all that needs to be said on that. You can switch between male and female Eivor at any time. Apparently there is a mystery revolving around why you can do that. Normally I'd be skeptical of something like this, especially in Assassin's Creed, but Darby McDevitt is on the case, and if anybody can do this justice, it's him. Of course we can visit historical locations in England, and as a resident of England I've been to my fair share of historical locations. That's sure to be a fascinating experience. I always enjoy visiting historical locations in Assassin's Creed, and with the prospect of the database making a return, that's doubly exciting. In my 3 hours, a historical location that I came across was a little place called Grimes Graves, which is a Neolithic flint mine that is thousands upon thousands of years old. Exploring all these historical spots with a database would be really neat. we can meet the followers of Ragnar Lothbrok, who was a supposed Danish Viking king at the time, according to medieval sources anyhow. I do believe we can fight these characters and grant them a good death. Many are familiar with the legend of Ragnar Lothbrok, courtesy of the Viking drama series, appropriately named Vikings, and so this is pretty cool, I guess, and definitely worthy of note. Another thing that you can do in Assassin's Creed Valhalla is hide in haystacks once more. Hiding in haystacks was removed from Assassin's Creed Odyssey because apparently it wasn't realistic, because realism was clearly a priority with that game. It's good that we can chill in a haystack if we so wish to again, because that's a feature that never should have been removed. So when I played hide and seek with some kids in some random village in East Anglia, sitting in this haystack made me more chuffed than I should have been. We can hunt and fish in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it appears as if that mechanic has a purpose, with the gameplay trailer saying we must feed off the land if we hope to endure, using hunting and foraging to replenish health and fortify equipment. We can also hunt legendary animals, and these legendary animals appear to be embedded in folklore. For example, in my 3-hour sitting I came across an East Anglian legend known as Black Shuck, which is a ghostly black dog that is said to roam the coastline and countryside of East Anglia. So in these legendary animals, I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity for Viking and East Anglian legend to shine in a grounded way. And so the overall hunting and fishing aspect of this game could be a good time. I feel like this final point is such an anticlimax, but here we go. If you kill civilians in this game, it warns you to not do that, otherwise you will desynchronize, which is much better than a hollow bounty system where you're hunted until you pay a silly amount of in-game money to the world map. It also hints at the idea that Eivor may actually join the Hidden Ones, but it's just good to know that there's a simple punishment system for killing civilians unnecessarily that doesn't attempt to give the illusion of depth, and that warning message in a way is an Assassin's Creed element, isn't it? There we go, 30 cool things in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Some major cool things, some minor cool things. Not the only cool things though, I'm sure there are many, many more. And I'm sure we'll learn more about these cool things and those cool things in the coming months. But Jesus, that format is harder to do than you'd think. Of course, let me know what I missed down in the comments section, and feel free to give your own thoughts down there as well. So that concludes today's video, so thank you all for watching, I hope you all enjoyed. Before we go, a friend of the community, Luke, asked me to promote his Teespring page, which he has a pretty cool print on. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, there'll be a link in the description. But be sure to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be fantastic. And with any luck, I will catch you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, goodbye.